Filipino nationalism began in the mid-17th and gained momentum in the 19th century, culminating in the Philippine Revolution of 1896. The movement was driven by the emergence of an educated middle class, also known as ilustrados, who advocated for social and political reforms, print culture, religious uprisings, and the Spanish-American War of 1898. The war further galvanized nationalist sentiments, setting the stage for culture struggles for self-determination. The British invasion and occupation from the mid-17th to the 19th was a period of significant military, political, and economic intervention by this British Empire, leading to the establishment of colonies, protectorates, and sphere of influence. Driven by economic interests, strategic geopolitical considerations, and British cultural and political influence, the invasion had profound effects on the territories it occupied, shaping their societies, economies, and political systems. The colonial era brought modernization, infrastructure development, and administrative systems in some territories, but also led to exploitation, cultural assimilation, and political subjugation.
The Silang and Palaris revolts. Diego Silang, an Ilocano rose in revolt, demanding the expulsion of Spaniards and Spanish mestizos from the province of Ilocos. Initially, he succeeded expelling even the Spanish governor, then declared himself king of the Ilocos. As the result, the British tried to win him over. Silang agreed, making him governor of his homeland and conspiring with the British against Spaniards, but he was assassinated. Gabriela Silang, his wife, Gabriela Silang, took over and carried on the fight but was later captured and hanged, along with 100 followers. Juan de la Cruz Palaris also led a revolt in Pangasinan, demanding end to tributes and abuses of Spaniards. It all started in Binaladong and then spread to Bayambang, Paniqui, Dagupan, Calasiao, Santa Barbara, Mangaldan, San Jacinto, and Malisaiki. For more than a year, he dominated Pangasinan. Upon the conclusion of the war with France and Spain, the British left in 1764. The Spaniards done away with Gabriela Silang, sent 3,000 Ilocano soldiers to Pangasinan to quell the revolt. Palaris was defeated and died in the battle.
Basco's economic plans. In 1778, Governor-General Jose Basco y Vargas surveyed the economic conditions of the Philippines and found it unsatisfactory. He found the galleon trade unproductive, benefiting only a few officials and religious orders who monopolized it. Basco encouraged the cultivation of exportable crops like indigo, coffee, cocoa, sugar, hemp, mulberry trees, spices, and cotton, as well as the development of gold, tin, and copper mines. He also offered prizes for silk and cotton fabrics and imported advanced agricultural implements. To implement his economic plans, Basco founded the Economic Society of Friends of the country in 1781 and established the Royal Company in 1785. However, the Royal Company failed due to mismanagement and lack of cooperation from Manila merchants who preferred the galleon trade. Basco's establishment of government monopolies in 1782 negated most of his positive projects, particularly tobacco and wine monopolies. The royal decree prohibited cultivation and manufacture of these products outside selected provinces, and only government had the exclusive right to purchase, classify, and sell these products locally and export them abroad. In 1807, 10,000 rebels in Ilocos revolted against the government monopoly of Basi, which is a locally produced wine from sugarcane.
Laissez Faire and the opening ports. Laissez Faire and the opening ports. Now, what is laissez faire? So, laissez faire or let alone policy was introduced by the Europeans in commercial and trading ventures. This policy gave full freedom to private individuals and firms to engage in economic activities without much interference from the government. Now, so in this part, laissez-faire or also known as let alone policy mo ni uso nga ginagamit nga strategy sa una nga which soon naka-caught up sa interest sa hari sa Spain sa una. Now, since this policy gave full freedom to private individuals nga mo engage in economic activities, this can be their advantages, while sa mga government, this will be their disadvantages. So, what are the reason nga advantage man is sa mga individuals nga ni-engage sa economic activities nga disadvantage sa government? So, this can be beneficial to the individuals that engages in economic activities for the reason that they can have a choice either to pay taxes or not. And if they will not pay taxes to governments, then the governments will not receive anything. And usa pa, the government, since the government can't also interfere, they can basically do anything in business. For example, they can make their products have a higher prices, and they can also sell anything including illegal products. And their economics will be profitable since there are no threat. So nakathink ang hari sa una that using laissez-faire can be beneficial when it comes to business. So, mootong sa 1834, the king, realizing the futility of opposing modern trends in commerce and trade, opened Manila to foreign traders. And diri nagasugod ang trading sa Philippines led by the Spanish king. So, pagkahumandayon ato, in 1842, Manila could boast of 2 Americans, 1 French, 1 Danish, and 8 British commercial firms. Ing anak kadako ang progress nila sa una using the laissez-faire policy. And by 1859, the number of foreign firms increased to 15, so nagkadaghan na. The ports of Iloilo, Zamboanga, and Sual in Pangasinan were opened to foreign trade in 1855. Cebu was opened in 1860, and Tacloban and Legazpi in 1873. So, nakita na to nga year by year, nagkadaghan ang trading ports diri sa Philippines. And because of that, consequently, manufacturing and agriculture developed to answer the demand of different products from the different provinces. So, Batangas produced coffee, Camarines Norte, Camarines Sur, Sorsogon and Albay produced hemp. So, unsa man ang hemp? So, hemp is a type of plant that is used for fiber. So, indigo and tobacco came from the Ilocos and Cagayan Valley. Sugarcane was produced in Negros and Iloilo in the Visayas, and Pampanga, Laguna, and Batangas in Luzon. The British Vice-Consul in Iloilo, Nicholas Lunny, introduced the first modern machinery that converted sugarcane into refined sugar. This led to the unprecedented prosperity of the provinces engaged in sugar production and to the rise of the middle class. And since we are abundant in sugarcane from every provinces, Nicolas Lonay invented a first modern machinery which can converted sugarcane into refined sugar. And because of this is the beginning sa pag-rise sa middle class era. And that would be my part, and thank you for listening.
So now let's move on to our next discussion. We have the rise of the Filipino middle class. So long before the influence of the mestizos, many believes that early Filipinos, or what we call the Indios, already started to create small communities, and there was a well-established coordination with different countries for maritime trade and commerce. Furthermore, this was more evident during the rise of the Filipino middle class. So the rise of the Filipino middle class, we have four classifications. First, we have the inquilinos, or known as the tenants, ilustrados, or the wealthy and highly educated Filipinos. Third, insulares, or the Spaniards born in the archipelago, or Spaniards that are born in the Philippines. And fourth, last is Españoles, or the Peninsulares. These are the Spaniards born in Spain but working or residing in the Philippines, or in our country.
So now, let's talk about the education of some Filipinos during the Spanish colonial period. The Spaniards established numerous colleges in the Philippines for both men and women, but initially, this institution owned exclusively catered the Spaniards and the Spanish mestizos. There are colleges that are exclusively made for men, and these colleges are the San Juan de Letran, the San Felipe College, and the San Jose College rather. And as for women, they have access to schools like the College of Santa Potenciana, the Santa Isabel College, and the Santa Rosa College. Native Americans were not accepted to the universities, including the University of Santo Tomas or the U.S. Rich Filipino parents were able to send their kids to these universities because Spanish colleges and universities opened their doors to Filipino students. As a result, many of those children went on to work as land surveyors, pharmacists, doctors, lawyers, and teachers.
Way of Canal is 103 miles long, connecting the Mediterranean Sea to the Red Sea. It officially opened in November 1869. So, there are changes in the Philippines when Suez Canal has opened. One of the important changes when opening the Suez Canal was this resulted in the shorter route and travel time between Spain and Philippines, where when Spaniards migrated to the Philippines, among of them were Creoles from Mexico, advocated freedom and liberty. Another change was the influx of progressive books and railroads. These were used by educated Filipinos who lived with democratic practices in Europe. With a shorter travel of time to Spain, it enabled educated Filipinos to continue their studies.
So, the next topic that we're going to be talking about is liberalism in the Philippines. In the Philippine context, liberalism encapsulates a political ideology characterized by a commitment to democratic principles, individual rights, and a market oriented economic system. The embodiment of these ideals is often associated with the Liberal Party, a prominent political force in the Philippines. Central to the liberal philosophy in the Philippines is a fervent advocacy for democracy, with an emphasis on free and fair elections, the safeguarding of individual rights, and a steadfast adherence to the rule of law. This commitment is particularly poignant given the nation's historical struggles for democracy. Moreover, liberalism in the Philippine setting extends its principles to encompass a dedication to human rights, civil liberties, and a legal framework that upholds justice. Economically, liberal policies such as a free market orientation and a privatization have been integral to the Liberal Party's approach, reflecting a belief in the efficacy of market forces. Beyond economic matters, liberalism in the Philippines engages with contemporary social issues, championing causes such as gender equality, LGBTQ+ rights, and a broader social justice initiatives. The role and influence of liberal ideas within the Philippine politics are dynamic and subject to evolving perspectives and social developments shaping the landscape of political discourse and policy formulation.
Good day, everyone. First of all, we apologized for the reason that our other member can't perform his part, since he has a fever, and we are sorry for the fact that this can't be helped. And I make this editing as fast as I can because we, the Group 3, don't have much time to make an actual video for his part. But still, he provided this summary, so I edited his report. Title: The Campaign for Secularization. The campaign for secularization. Priesthood during the Spanish period was composed of two classes, the regular and the secular. The regular priests were those who belonged to the religious orders like the Dominicans, the Recollects, the Augustinians, and the Franciscans, while the secular priests were not members of any religious order. In the Philippines, Friar Curated had to administer the parishes as Friar Curated, because there were very few seculars during the first century of Spanish rule. In the early 19th century, the controversy became more heated when a decree was passed denying the native clergy the right to administer the parishes occupied by the regulars. The government even went as far as giving the parishes run by Filipino seculars to Spanish regulars. This led to the campaign called secularization. The movement would later be called Filipinization because of its racial overtone. The secular priests initialized by Spanish Mestiz o Father Pedro Pablo Peláez, later succeeded by José Burgos and other mestizos, Chinese Amestas, and Indios, felt inferior to regulars in the position. Another topic, the Cavite Mutiny. Spanish regulars who continued to occupy the parishes blamed the Filipino priests. The relationship between Filipino seculars and Spanish regulars escalated, with the Spanish regulars accusing Filipino priests of not being prepared to administer parishes. This led to a mutiny in Cavite, led by military sergeant La Madrid, involving Indios, Mestizos, and Criollos. The mutiny was triggered by the revocation of shipyard workers' privileges from forced labor and tribute by Governor Camilo Diaz Cuerdo. The Governor-General sent an expedition to put down the rebellion, leading to the arrest and execution of the leaders and participants. The government arrested Filipinos and mestizos involved in the rebellion, including Fathers José Burgos, Mariano Gomez, Jacinto Zamora, Pedro Dandan, Toribio del Pilar, Mariano Sevilla, Agustin Mendoza, Jose Guevara, and others. The Filipino priests were sentenced to be banished to Guam, while the civilians were sentenced to death. That would be all for this part. Thank you for listening.